Everybody come and see. I say come and hear. I don't carry and come. Better information, superb advertisement. We no get it right far. Oh, to get update and get informed. Oh, come to Celestial Half Hour. Celestial Half Hour TV. Now we be the best information carrier.
Everything they have been hiding from the public, they have been hiding from the people. It was literally emphasizing on that federal government had planned everything from the beginning. The first scarcity was part of their personal agendas. In fact, as well as Dangote Refinery and the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu turning the presidency to a family affairs business stuff. His wife and son, however, Comrade Deji Adeyanju reveals a lot about the federal government during the mic on podcast with Shehu Okibamiloye. Honestly speaking, this is not a fake news or the opportunity to gather millions of views, but what you're about to watch or witness about everything they are hiding or doing to this country is going to shock you. Just watch and I'll be right back. In the meantime, please support this channel by subscribing today. It is totally free, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to always be the first to get notification whenever we drop latest updates. Enjoy.
You spoke about the situation relating to the price of fuel. The president has said in China that he's a reformer, and he appreciated the work of President Xi Jinping of China, and he said in Nigeria he's doing a whole.
And there are those, a few times the president has mentioned that some of the reforms that he is making are going to be painful in the moment, but in the end is going to be of benefit to the larger population of Nigerian people.
Well, have you seen the delegation of the president to China? Who goes cap in hand begging to go and beg in China with that kind of delegation? Almost 100 people went to China with the president.
The ones that we see.
Have you seen the plane with which the president went to China? Brand new passenger plane. How do you go? Imagine if someone comes to your house to beg for money and he drives in a G-Wagon. And also, aside driving a G-Wagon, he comes with a convoy of men and women, all acting so busy. Will you borrow such a person money?
Are you able to confirm that the president went with 100 people?
I've seen the video, almost 100 people. I've seen the video of the
almost
president.
100 people.
Yes, but I've seen the video.
You probably need to confirm how many people there were there.
I don't need
I see governors.
No, I don't need
I see ministers.
Listen, I don't need any confirmation.
I don't want us to to place the context on conjectures.
The president went to beg for money in China.
No, he went for a summit.
Beg for money in China.
But he went for a summit.
No.
The China-Africa summit.
The president went to China to beg for money. And he took a delegation of almost 100 people to China. Who does that? He did the same thing when he went to Qatar. The Qatari, after all the PowerPoint presentation he made, the Qataris, they refused to give him any money. Because these are not stupid people. You cannot go cap in hand begging for money. And you come living extravagant lifestyle on the same trip. So, having said that, number two, you said the president says he's a reformer. What reform? Since this president has came into power over a year ago, this president has back-to-back destroyed the economy of this country. Which reforms? Okay, even this idea of the petrol that we're talking about, what is the idea of selling petrol, crude oil to Dangote in Naira, while he sells back the crude oil to maximize profit? The crude oil business is done in dollars. You cannot be selling crude oil in Naira to a man who you don't have the mechanism to checkmate him from when he refines the petrol. Okay, what mechanism do they have? Because Dangote refinery is in the free trade zone. You can't stop him after giving him the crude oil in Naira. You can't stop him from taking the crude oil to Chad, to Niger, to Togo, to all these places. You cannot stop him. Okay, so after giving him the crude oil in Naira, then they now say that they will buy, he's going to now sell it. After giving him the crude oil at highly subsidized in Naira, they now say he will now sell it back to them. Then they will now subsidize Dangote, because you can't say you are subsidizing Nigerians. They will now subsidize Dangote, so that because he will now sell it at an exorbitant price for them. So I don't know when this subsidy fraud is going to ever end in Nigeria. So there is nothing in place to show that this Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime are ready to solve the problem of fuel as regards to subsidy in Nigeria. I have not seen any effort or any concrete policy that they are taking that will ameliorate the suffering of Nigerians. Look at how long we've had this fuel queues, almost 3 months. And okay, so if they want to be subsidizing Dangote, does it mean that the people that now that have been importing fuel into the country for decades will no longer bring fuel into the country? Something is amiss, and Nigerians are not being told the whole truth.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
NNPC came out to say we can no longer bear the burden of paying for the operational and the logistic costs of lifting. And I mean, there are facts that came out that about 5 to 6 billion NNPC is indebted to that amount of money. Would you think that they should continue to pay for that?
Okay, so as of today, the importers of petrol to the country, they say landing cost is 1,117 per liter. Unofficial. So it means government subsidizes the rest, right? Unofficial, now Dangote wants to be selling crude oil from his refinery at 1,300 per liter. Which is better? Is it not better for us to continue buying the fuel, bringing the fuel, landing it at 1,117 than to buy at Dangote?
What do you have against the Dangote refinery?
Absolutely nothing. I think that some critical stakeholders have done a deal somewhere and that they want to start subsidizing Dangote. That is the only thing. Because it doesn't make any sense that you sell crude oil to him in Naira. He should sell at 500 Naira. Because you're already selling the crude oil to him in Naira. The crude oil business, universally, is a business that is traded in dollars. You cannot tell. Let's assume that you're an IOC. You are the one doing the crude at the oil well. And when you do the crude, you can sell the crude at the international market in dollars. The government is now forcing you to sell the crude to Dangote in Naira. Why will you do that? And let's even say government forces you to sell to Dangote in Naira. Should fuel not be cheaper in Nigeria than the fuel that they bring into the country? Because now Dangote's fuel that is refining here is more expensive than the fuel that they are bringing into the country.
Whose fault is that?
It's NNPC. It's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's the one that wants to start subsidizing Dangote.
Is Bola Ahmed Tinubu the MD of NNPC?
He's the Minister of Petrol. We must stop shifting the buck. The buck stops at his table. He must take responsibility for the failure in the oil sector. Every single inadequacy and incompetence in the oil sector, he's to blame.
So the queues that we are seeing today and the hike in the price of fuel, we should blame the president.
Yeah, of course. And you also need to know
what about the deregulation?
You also need to know that these few queues that you are seeing, they are artificial.
Really?
Yes, they've been trying to increase fuel to 1.3 since February. Since February this year. That's when they've been. In fact, they wanted to increase fuel around June. It was because of the protests around end of June. It was because of the threat of the protests. That's why they paused and stopped. So they had wanted to create the artificial scarcity. If you recall, this artificial scarcity started since towards end of June. So it had always been in the pipeline. And I said it, you can go to my social media and check. I said, as way back as June, I said they want to increase fuel price to 1,002, 1,003. I said it since June. So there's nothing you are seeing today that we did not know. After all, we have friends in the system.
Now, if you look at what is going on, those who will argue that the regulation is at play, the market forces are determining already, and this has been the fear of those who say if you remove subsidy, this is what will happen. But you now come around to blame the government when the market forces in the capitalist economy is at play.
My analogy is very simple. Before this government came, we're paying about 300 billion for subsidy cushion, right? Now we are paying almost about 1 trillion naira. Why? These are questions that need answer. They tell you, oh, it's because they floated the naira. Okay, now they import fuel. Even if they are importing fuel from no matter where, even if it's Brazil or anywhere they are bringing fuel, landing cost of petrol is 1,117 naira. Crude oil that we give Dangote in our backyard. Dangote says he wants to be selling fuel at 1.3. Come on. And you said I should be hailing Dangote? The fuel they go and refine from Brazil and bring here, landing cost is 117. Dangote wants to be selling his fuel at 1,003, and you said nothing is amiss. Definitely something amiss, and this is what these are the questions that Nigerians should be asking.
Where do you think we should go from here?
Well,
because the blame game won't solve the problems.
To start with, the president should resign as Minister of Petrol because he has no idea on what is going on there. Get a competent person.
But this is someone who has worked within the oil and gas sector for years.
The only experience he has shown since he became president is that he has helped Wando to acquire a major oil asset. That's the only experience he has demonstrated.
Is that fair to say?
It's a fact. It's the truth. There's even him cannot deny that.
To limit the powers and the ability.
That is his greatest achievement as Minister of Petroleum. His greatest achievement is that he helped Wando.
How do you say he helped? Do you have facts to that?
Oh, he did not help them? Why didn't this happen under Goodluck Jonathan?
Is Ohando not a private interest?
Why didn't this happen under Goodluck Jonathan? Why didn't it happen under Buhari?
Is Ohando the only
Why
one
is it happening under him when it is his family member that is benefiting? Why didn't it happen under the previous government if he didn't help them?
Is there a crime there?
Oh, there's no crime there.
I'm asking. You are the lawyer.
You do not see any conflict of interest?
No, explain to us.
As president and commander-in-chief of a country, that you personalize governance, you familiarize governance, that governance now is about you and your friends and your family. That's what governance should be. That there's no conflict of interest, there's no moral burden or obligation, there's no guilt about what has just happened in the oil sector, and he's the Minister of Petroleum. Is this how nations should? People have resigned as presidents in other crimes for lesser crimes.
Is that a crime?
Yes, it's a crime.
A crime of what? How do you define?
Conflict of interest.
Is that a crime?
Yes, it is.
Under which law?
Law is not just about the letters and the written words. Morality is an integral part of law. Societies exist. Law, the foundation of law is based on morality. And that is why it's a crime.
And I've asked you, where do we go from here? You said that the president should resign as the Minister of Petroleum. Would that solve the problem?
The second solution, simple solution, is that these refineries, they must all be sold. Government has no business doing business in Nigeria. We have seen time and time again that it's not working, that the bureaucratic bottlenecks, the people who never want these refineries to work, they will never let it work. But if these refineries go into private hands, they will work. And thank God that we are beginning to see that NNPC and maybe is metaphysical solutions that are working at NNPC, that the idea is being, played with. But these refineries must go. They must go into private hands. And again, it's better and good for our economy. You cannot have an economy that's built around Dangote, Aliko Dangote. You understand? Monopoly does not help any nation. So let them sell the refineries. That's another alternative solution. And lastly and finally is that we must support EFCC to go after corrupt people. EFCC is one agency of government that needs the support of everyone in the country. And EFCC must enjoy, look at what has happened here below. It sends a message that certain people are above the law. Look at what has happened to the protesters. It sends a message that certain people are put beneath the law. People who have who have not done anything but demanding for end of bad governance. Is it that the government wants bad governance to fester, to continue? But look at how Yabelo has been shielded from arrest, from prosecution by powers that be. So we must support accountability, transparency, and that people who have done wrong, that they be held accountable. They face, the law, and that and also in addition to that is general application of rule of law. And this is where Singapore and other countries that moved from third world to first world got it right.
If you look at, you've criticized heavily the Bola Tinubu government, and you've said to me once that the cabinet is not one that you are happy with.
Indeed.
What would the president do with its team? There is a KPI that has been set, and there is a manager to monitor, to assess and monitor the performance and the key indicators to guide their performance. But in your own view, what do you think is going on?
Okay, so aside yes and Wike, I went to Kuje prison yesterday, and I saw the level of work going on. Some people think, oh, Wike is just, yes, he's doing some eye service here and there in the city center. He's scraping good roads to redo them. However, the level of work I saw in the Kuje axis that has been done by Yes and Wike is truly, truly commendable. Aside him, Tunji Ojo, Minister of Interior, and a few others, many Nigerians do not even know more than 4 or 5 ministers in this government. And that is to tell you the level of incompetence of these ministers. One will have thought that because of the failure of these ministers, 80-something people were slaughtered in Yobe. 80-something people. Nobody is calling for any form of accountability in that ministry, the ministry in charge of safeguarding lives and property. Nobody is calling for any form of accountability. They are busy wasting taxpayers' money at the Federal High Court, parading protesters and charging them with treason. The people who should be facing treasonable charges are killing people. Unchallenged in the Northeast, in the Northwest, in the North Central, all over the country. There's general insecurity all over the country. So, and it is the president that is to blame, because the president cannot be in every ministry working. The president appoints people there. People who he appoints are supposed to be competent to tackle the economic, social, and political challenges in the country. And when they fail to do so, then the buck stops on his table when he refuses to sack them, when he refuses to reshuffle his cabinet, and when he refuses to rejig his cabinet. So then he must take the blame for the failure in Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Defense. So he takes the blame, and nobody else is to be blamed but the president.
If you were the president, what would you do to the ministers?
Believe me, if I were to be the president, on Democracy Day, May 29th, I will have removed most of the ministers. And I will have reassigned portfolios to performing ministers. That's what I would have done if I was the president. And because the buck stopped on my table, I cannot blame an incompetent minister. After all, it was me that appointed him. So, and because I know that if I do not perform, elections are going to come, and that the people will hold me accountable for the failures of those people. So, the failures of those ministers are my failures, and their success is my success. So I would have sacked majority of the ministers, and I would have appointed competent hands to man the ministries.
If you look at the manner in which things are going in the country, and you imagine that our economy, all of the indices, and perhaps the manner in which the president is approaching a lot of things, that those who will say, well, in the last one or so quarter, we've seen an improvement in the figures released by MBS. Is that an indication of what the president has said? That look, it's a matter of time. You will start seeing the benefit of some of the policy. Would you say that Nigerians should give President Tinubu a benefit of the doubt, maybe for another 6 months, so that we can see what he said we will see? Because if someone says, wait for me for a moment, just be patient, and you will see the benefit of my work. Should we give him, out of 4 years, he spent over one year, should we give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe till March next year?
I can tell you that we are not going to see anything.
What do you mean?
My people have a saying that a weekend that will be good is from Thursday. Sometimes it's even from Tuesday that you know. You see, this weekend with Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be worse than you can ever imagine. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the typical example of a man who is telling you that he's taking you to Ibadan, but he's facing Meduguri, and you are telling us to give him time. So give him time to drive you into Sambisa Forest or what? Nothing is going to come out of this government, I can assure you. And you are going to remember, you recall during the presidential election, I kept saying that the opposition should come together. That if they don't come together, they are going to lose. People called me all sorts of names. Look at today. After the loss was when they started taking my advice. And today, let me also send a charge to them that the time to come together again is now. that they should not wait and that they should not allow their egos. We know that politicians and their egos can be very huge. And they should not allow their egos to determine the level of conversations that they are having. You see this Bola Ahmed Tinubu that we are seeing, who is charging protesters for treason, is going to attempt third term.
That is not captured in our laws.
Was it not Akpabio? You have a man like Akpabio in the National Assembly, and you say that's not captured in our law. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu tells Akpabio to jump, Akpabio will say, should I jump to my death? Or how high should I jump? Akpabio that amended the Police Act in one day.
That's unfair to say. One man cannot amend the law. The National Assembly is responsible.
Have you seen senators saying no, and Akpabio will say yes? He has done it on national television. There's nothing I'm saying that is not true that we have not seen. He doesn't even allow people to debate. People will raise their hands up in opposition. He doesn't listen to them. You cannot have a dangerous man like that, like Akpabio in the National Assembly.
What do you mean dangerous? Is that not getting too far, Deji?
Of course. Anybody that tells you, Akpabio with his own mouth said that anything the president wants, they will do it. How can you have a legislature? How can you have a legislature that the head of a legislature is the head of the National Assembly? How can you have the head of the legislature saying that anything the president, the legislature is supposed to act as a check and balance?
They say it's in the interest of the Nigerian people.
In the interest of the Nigerian people is why you amended the Police Act to extend the tenure of the Inspector General of Police at the detriment of DIGs, AIGs, CPs. So people will not be marking time in the police. And you think this will not cause disaffection because of one man. If they've done it for the police, they're going to do it for the army. They are going to extend, write it down. They will do this same thing for Lagbaja and other people that are doing their bidding. Nations are not built based on the selfish interest of individuals. Laws are not made to meet or to be tailored against the Inspector General of Police. You cannot be doing laws for a person. You do laws for the generality of society. And it was Justice Rose Vivor that said at the Supreme Court in the case of Nwadiagbo and Anambra and Imo River Basin Development Commission Authority that once strong men begin to use institutions to their advantage, that you will have a situation where institutions will be extremely weak and the will of strong men will continue to prevail. And that is why you can see the will of strong men prevailing under the Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime. Until in that same case, Justice Rose Vivor, JSC, said that until we have strong institutions, our country will never progress. So the focus of every administration should be building strong institutions that is beyond men. You cannot be making laws for the benefit of few individuals and you tell me that we have a legislature. We do not have a legislature, unfortunately. We have a rubber stamp legislature, and it is most unfortunate.
So, in essence, you do not think we can give the president a chance, a benefit of the doubt. That's what you're saying.
He's driving in the wrong direction. He's taking us to Maiduguri, and the nation wants to go to Ibadan. So there is no chance because we can see that these policies.
Are you not being pessimistic?
It's not being pessimistic. It's being real. Your perspective
of how things should go might not be right.
In 1 year.
In your analysis of how things should go might not be right.
Yes, in 1 year.
And there are those who will give you examples of how economies of the world have gone in similar path, but eventually they rebound.
No economy of the world has gone this path before and rebounded. In 1 year of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime, he borrowed more money than Buhari borrowed in 8 years.
Is that a fact? Or that's
you can confirm.
That's not quite true.
No, it's correct.
It's not quite true. That's not exactly true.
No, it's true. You can fact check me. Fact check me.
No, it's not exactly true.
No, I said this is what he has done. You can fact check me. Now, are you not delighted that we are now the third largest borrower from IMF? It's an accomplishment. That's the direction that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is driving us. He's taking us to Maiduguri, close to Sambisa Forest. We can't give him time. Because the more time we give him, the more destruction
It's
he will
constitutional
cause.
to give him time. He has 4 years.
Of course, nobody is struggling his 4-year mandate with him. But we are saying that this place you are going, and this is what the protesters are saying, that this road you are going, you must make a U-turn. And citizens have the right. Citizens even have the right to demand that the president resign. Citizens is a constitutional guaranteed right.
Has it gotten to that point?
It's so that it doesn't get to that point. That's why everybody is shouting. You are taking us to Sambisa Forest. Please, Mr. President, make a U-turn. The man says no, that his economic policies are going to yield fruits. And that's why he took almost 100 people to China to go and borrow money.
Use someone like me. You're talking about the next election and what the politicians need to do. Someone like, and you want them to coalesce, to come together. Someone like Kenneth Okonkwo said, Atiku, Peter Obi, and Tinubu in 2027 should step aside. Do you hold that view too?
Well, you know my views around that. I ordinarily would want Omoyele Sowore, but the entirety of
the man who is calling for revolution.
Yes, this president called for revolution. Today is president. Bola Ahmed Tinubu called for revolution. Today is president. What's wrong in calling for a revolution?
So Sowore,
if it was wrong,
you think Sowore will be president one day?
Yes, of course. If Buhari, see, anybody can be president. Since Buhari has become president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has become, anybody can become president,
including Sowore.
Of course. Buhari called for a revolution in this country, became president. Bola Ahmed Tinubu called for a revolution in this country, he became president. Okay, so what's wrong in calling for a revolution? Whether it is revolution of ideas, whether it's revolution at the ballot box. If it was wrong, if revolution was wrong, as they want people to believe, why did Buhari call for revolution? Why did Bola Ahmed Tinubu call for revolution?
So do you agree with Kenneth Okonkwo that the three should step aside?
I wouldn't say I agree totally, and I wouldn't say I disagree with him. And this is my reason. Number one, there is no one fits all in politics, and you cannot tell the politicians what to do. However, I feel that the generality of Nigerians should galvanize around a young person, a person who is not a member of the establishment, a person who will punish politicians and non-politicians alike for bad behavior. And that is why I prefer Omoyele Sowore, because I know for a fact that the idea of or the possibility alone of Omoyele Sowore will make all the ruling elites run away from the country. Because the reason why our country is this bad is because we have a situation in our hands where people are doing what is wrong and there's no repercussion for it. And that's why somebody can steal 80 billion and there will be no repercussion. And he knows that there will be no repercussion. And that's why another person will be encouraged to do the same. That's why terrorists can kill 80-something people in a day and there will be no repercussion. Nobody will go after them. They will never be arrested. And it is protesters that will be arrested.
Fast and affordable rides at the tap of a button. Bolt, the smartest way to move.
In 2027, you think a merger or a coalition of political parties will do the thing? Is that what you think?
Well, I think this president, that's General Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Why are you calling him a general?
Yes, because he's behaving like one. He's behaving like one. The Bible says, by their fruit we shall know them. This particular president is behaving like a military general, because only a military general will arrest 2,400 protesters, detain over 100 and something people in Kuje prison, detain over 800 people in Kano prison, detain people who are protesting in Katsina prison, in Kaduna prison, all over the country. The military didn't do it. So he deserves his accolade.
You're not worried about talking about Nigeria's president the way you're talking?
Will this be the first time I'll be arrested? Will it likely be the last? Will it be breaking news even if I'm arrested? Still news. And after all, if I'm arrested, I'll have opportunity to sleep and relax, because I barely relax or sleep properly these days. So there's nothing new. The man deserves his flowers. He's a general. We should commend him for his tyrannical moves. You give honor to whom honor is due. Honor is due to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a general, for the tyrannical moves that he has been making.
So 2027, what do you see?
Well, whether I see them forming a merger, I doubt it. Whether the likes of Wike, Aburi, and others will allow them, I also doubt it. Because the PDP and the Labour Party is infested with moles, left, right, and center. I doubt those moles will allow them to congregate and merge. But I see the possibility of the Labour Party being more easily rescued than the PDP. The PDP guys are so in love with dollars that I doubt that they will ever allow reform. I think Labour Party is more inclined to a rescue. And I genuinely and sincerely feel that the critical stakeholders, especially in the big boy politicians who are members of the establishment, should gravitate towards Labour Party, for maybe a possible merger. And if they do not succeed to rescue the Labour Party, because I also see the current government, funding crisis in the Labour Party, I think they should, on time, try to start a new party. They had the election to win in the 2023 election, but they practically threw it away.
So you think that Peter Obi will become a bigger force in 2027?
Peter Obi alone cannot even challenge General Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He cannot. But I think if they congregate and work together, they may have a better chance. Because you see, there's so much hunger in the country. The factors that will be working against this president, they are going to be so numerous that even him, because I think someone has told him somewhere that he has won the election. And that is why you can see the effrontery with which he is operating. So, but I think if they start on time, that they might have a fighting chance. But it's going to be a Herculean task.
There are those who will say it should be a running mate to a northern candidate. Do you see that as a pathway?
With politicians, you can never be sure. And you can never predict, because their ego is bigger than the national stadium.
So you don't see Peter Obi becoming a running mate to a northern candidate?
I don't see anything sincerely, because with politicians, it's almost impossible to predict.
So if Peter Obi truly becomes a running mate to a northern candidate, do you think it's a pathway, actually?
I don't know, sincerely. I can't say for certain that it's the pathway. It depends on the dynamics of the election. It depends on the mood of the country. And it depends on the geopolitical dynamics as well. Which way will sentiments in the north swing? Which way will sentiments... Because it appears that everybody is even getting tired in the south of the enjoyment that this president is unleashing on the citizenry. So it depends on a combination of all the factors in 2026, 2027.
You refer to this government as being dictatorial?
Yes, of course.
Is that fair to say?
Even the military regime, which military regime arrested and arraigned over 2,000 protesters in the history of this country? Which military regime has done that? The Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime has done that. And that is why henceforth I will now start referring to Bola Ahmed Tinubu as General Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because he's behaving like a military ruler. Because even North Korea will be proud that indeed this president is setting tyrannical examples.
Is that not extreme for you to say?
Exemplified.
Yeah, is that not extreme for you to say?
Why will 2,400 protesters be arrested for protesting when bandits are having a field day? Bandits are sharing their live location on TikTok as we speak. And 80-something people were just recently killed in Yobe. They are not angry. The Tinubu government has not arrested one person who was involved. But you arrested 2,000 protesters and you say we should not...
He should intensify his military tactics on the citizenry. The Nigerians need it. Nigerians need motivation for them to stand up for their rights.
So when you talked about the issue of the fuel crisis, but before I just go there, what is the fate of some of your clients? PDOM is one of those you have spoken up for. And someone like David Undehi has been linked to some of the charges that the police have read out in relation to the investigation on that matter. How would you describe the scenario around the arrest and the investigation around these persons?
Well, I don't know any PDOM. I know that I have a client called Isaac Bristol, who I'm representing in court. However, because the matter is in court and court is seized of jurisdiction on that matter, I will still decline to contest, to comment on the matter because of me not being held in contempt of court. Having said that, it's important to re-echo what I had earlier said on freedom of assembly around freedom of expression, that citizens have the right to freedom of expression. Journalists like yourself, I believe that the PDOM in question is still in the custody of the police. That is my guess from the information I have. You know, that people have the right to criticize government. People have the right to do their work as journalists. The Constitution has empowered citizens to hold government accountable, to hold the media and journalists and the mass media to hold government accountable at all levels, and to expose corruption. And anyone doing it should be commended. It is those who have been exposed for having done one corrupt act or other that should be facing trial, not journalists, not protesters. It is bandits that should be on trial, not protesters. You know, so that is our argument.
Now you have it, and just like I stated earlier, what you are about to witness is going to shock you. We were promised a renewed hope, but is this the hope they promised to bring? Let us know what you think about everything lawyer Deji had said in the comments. And in case you'd like to contribute, drop it in.
Everybody come and see. I say come and hear. I don't carry and come. Better information, superb advertisement. We no get it right far. Oh, to get update and get informed. Oh, come to Celestia Half Hour. Celestia Half Hour TV. Now we be the best information carrier.